स्क्रीन विजिबल है? स्टार्ट करें?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's begin the session. This is lecture number 27 and we are dealing with concurrency control part 3. Now in the last lecture we have discussed about the semaphore and some functions used by the semaphore variable like initialization function, sem wait function and sem signal function. And we have already discussed about initialization, like if we want to initialize the values to the semaphore variable, then we have to use initialization function. Suppose we want to put some process into a block states or a waiting state, then we have to call sem wait function. And suppose we want to give some wake-up calls to blocked processes that are currently waiting for entering into the critical section, then we have to call sem signal function. So these are three main functions used by the semaphore variables. So question may be asked in the GTU in this manner, like what is semaphore? So first you have to define the semaphore, what kind of variable it is, and what actually the concept is. Then write down the sem wait and sem signal procedure for binary semaphore. Here we are using the binary semaphore. That means if the value of semaphore variable varies from 0 to 1, there is no other values belonging to the semaphores. It only belongs to the 0 and 1. This kind of variables is called binary semaphore. As I told you in the last session, there are so many kinds of semaphores. It may be a binary semaphore, it may be a decimal semaphore. So here binary semaphore belongs only 0 and 1. 0 indicate critical section is empty and 1 indicate critical section is filled with some process, and some process are already inside the critical section and they are manipulating the data structure. And some decimal semaphore is also available. So in the decimal section we have assigned like if one process is enter into the critical section, then the binary semaphore converted 0 to 1. If that process goes outside from the critical section, it may be converted 1 to 2. And let's suppose the next process which comes into the critical section, again the semaphore variable 2 will convert it to 3. So this is also can be done, but most important semaphore is binary semaphore, which having values 0 and 1. 0 indicate the critical section is empty and 1 indicate critical section is filled by some process. So we have to define some function. What is the purpose of sem wait function and what is the purpose of sem signal function? These are two functions or procedure we can say. In operating system terminology, we will call it procedure. So operating system having sem wait and sem signal procedure for handling the semaphore variables or handling the processes. So let's continue. We have already discussed about the semaphore. So if you want to define the semaphore, it is an integer value used for signaling among processes. And by making some diagrams, we have clear to you how it is signaling among number of processes, how it is stopped to enter into the critical section, how it allowed to outside from the critical section. So based on semaphore variables, a process can be enter into the critical section and can be go outside from the critical section. Now let's talk about the operations. Only 3 operations may be performed on a semaphore, all of which are atomic. Atomic means if one operation is going to perform, then no other operation gets held. So it is atomic in nature. If one operation starts, it should be finished. Then after finishing, the second operation will get starts. This is the meaning of atomic. So there are only three operations may be performed on a semaphore. First is initialize. Second is decrement, or we can say seam wait procedure. And third is seam signal procedure. It is also an increment function and it is a decrement function. So whenever seam weight function called by the semaphore variables, always we will do the decrement values. So whatever the values of semaphore, it should be decremented by 1. And suppose if seam signal procedure will called, then the value of semaphore will be increased by 1. That is why it is called increment function. A semaphore may be initialized to a non-negative integer value, or it can be initialized by 0. So it depends on the programmer, it depends on the users how semaphore variables are going to be implemented in the programming section. It can be initialized by 0 and it can be initialized by any non-zero or non-negative integer value. So this is the actual meaning of initialization. Now second is seam weight operation. Seam weight operation decrements semaphore value. If the value become negative after decrementing, it might possible that the values of semaphore gets negative. So if the semaphore value become the negative, then the process executing the seam weight is blocked. So you have to remember, if the value become negative after decrementing a lot of time, then as soon as the value become negative, process gets blocked. Otherwise, the process continue execution. So this can be done by a programming statement. You understand the syntax of C programming. So you can make the condition, if value become negative, then the process gets blocked. Otherwise, process gets continue its execution. And we know that why process gets blocked by the operating system. So it may be possible that there are some input output requirement related to the process. There might be some non-maskable interrupt occurs. So there are so many chances to become a process blocked. So you have to remember, seam weight operation always decrement the value of semaphore. After decrementing, if the value become negative, then the process that used by the seam weight signal, that process become blocked and it goes to the blocked state or waiting state. Otherwise, process continue its execution. Now the third procedure is seam signal operation. So seam signal operation increment the semaphore value. First of all, you should remember, seam signal operation always increment the semaphore value. If the resulting value is less than or equal to 0, that is the condition of seam signal, after incrementing the semaphore value, the value become less than or equal to 0, then the process blocked by seam weight operation, if any is unblocked. So there are two conditions. If condition become true, then the process that are blocked by the seam weight signal, that is to be unblocked. So you can understand this seam signal function as a wake up call. So those process which are waiting in a waiting state, some function should be called that gives the wake up calls to the waited process. So this is the function which gives the wake up calls to blocked process or waiting state process. So there are three functions you should remember. First is initialization, second is sim wait operation, and third is sim signal operation. Now, after discussing the procedure of semaphore, initialization, sim wait, and sim signal, let's discuss semaphore primitives. Primitives means there are fundamental types of semaphores. There are basically two types of semaphore: strong and weak semaphore. Types of semaphore. So basically there are two types of semaphore. Strong semaphore and weak semaphore. So it is also called a primitive of semaphore. There are two basic types of semaphore. Now let's understand. A queue is used to hold processes waiting on the semaphore. There is a queue data structure is used to hold the processes that are waiting states. So here is a manner we are using to hold the process, right? So this is the important point. A queue data structure is used to hold processes waiting on the semaphore. So if there is any data structure that are used to hold the processes waiting on the semaphore, this kind of semaphore is called a strong semaphore. And if there is no data structure is used to hold the processes, that means we are talking about the weak semaphore. So if there is a manner to handle the process, if there is a data structure used to hold the processes, then it is called a strong semaphore. Otherwise, it will be called weak semaphore. So you have to remember, in a strong semaphore, there is a data structure Q. Q data structure is used, and why it is used? So Q data structure is used for holding processes waiting for semaphore. So this is a type of semaphore, that is a strong semaphore. And similarly, suppose if we talk about the weak semaphore, there is no such kind of data structure is used. No such data structure is used no such data structure is used for holding processes waiting for semaphore. So there are some difference, there are slightly difference between strong semaphore and weak semaphore. So if there is a data structure used to handling the processes waiting for the semaphore, then it is called a strong semaphore. And if there is no data structure used for handling the processes used waiting for semaphore, then it is called weak semaphore. So I hope you understand. There are two primitives, you can say. There are two fundamental types of semaphore, strong and weak. If data structure is used, if Q data structure is used, then it is called strong. Otherwise, it is called weak semaphore. Now here we are taking an example how to initialize the semaphore variable and how to call seam wait and seam signal procedure. It is an operating system called code. You understand this is a structure as I told you in the previous session. Operating system having a structure named semaphore which defines some variables and some data structure types of variable. So here is a structure. Start with struct keyword. You know that any structure always starts with the struct keyword. So semaphore is the name of structure. This is the curly bracket which starts the structure, and we start declaration of variables. So here is a count variable of type integer and a q variable of type q type. So in operating system, q type is again a class, or you can say it is again a structure. So we are declare a q variable of type q type, and q type is itself is a structure. Now the closing of curly bracket then semicolon, this is the syntax of structure. And one function is called void seam wait, which taking s as a variable of type semaphore structure. Now in this procedure, what we have to do, we know that seam wait function or a procedure, when it is called by the semaphore variables, it always decrement the values of semaphore. So s dot count minus minus, this is the decrement function. So whenever seam wait function or a procedure called by the semaphore variable, it always decrement the values of semaphore, and we have to say s dot count minus minus. So whatever be the values of count, it should be decremented by 1. Now we have to check if s dot count less than 0, that means it become the negative value. If it is become the negative values, then what we have to do, we have to simple put the process into blocked state. So place this process in s.q, block this process. So we understand in the theory section, seam wait function, whenever it is called by the semaphore variable, it always decrement the semaphore values, and if its value become the negative, then the process that are using seam wait function or a procedure, that has to be keep in a queue, and that queue belongs to the block state, or you can say waiting states. Now somehow we have to give the wake up calls to waited state for complete sys execution. So wake up calls gives by different procedure. Right now we are putting the process into the blocked states. So in order to handle or holding the process, we are using data structure Q. That's why we have to declare a type of variable Q, that is a type of Q type. and queue type is built-in structure in operating system. So this is the end of procedure. Now you understand how seam wait function is called by the semaphore. Now the second function is void seam signal, which is again taking a parameter s of type semaphore structure. S dot count plus plus, we know that if seam signal function is called by any process that increment the values of semaphore. So here count is a variable of type integer, and we know that semaphore is a type of integer value. It always initialize non-negative values by the initialization function, and if seam signal function is called by a process, then it always increment the values of semaphore. So here we have to count plus plus because it is a member of semaphore structure. We have to call by a variable s dot count plus plus. So this is how we increment the values of semaphore. Now the next condition, if we increment the values of count, then what should the next? The next one, we have to give the wake up calls. So if s dot count less than equal to 0, after increment the count variable, if its values become less than or equal to 0, remove a process P from s dot q. Here we have maintained sq, that is a semaphore structure having a data structure q which maintains some processes that are blocked currently. Right? So we have to remove a process P from s dot q, and q is the data structure which are used to holding the processes that are currently blocked. So one by one we have to remove that process from the queue. Now place process P on ready state. We have to switch from the waiting state to ready state. That is being done by the seam signal procedure. So there are two very important procedure called by any process, and if process become blocked, then we have to give the wake up calls. If based on some semaphore values, the process become blocked, and based on some semaphore values, process gets wake up calls. So by implementing this, we can have concurrent processes in the primary memory, and we can manage number of processes, and we can manage the execution of concurrent processes in that manner. So this is all about semaphore. We have discussed a lot of about the semaphore, and it is very important topic. You should understand very clearly the definition of semaphore, the types of semaphore, and the procedures called by semaphore variables. There are three basic questions you should understand and you have to prepare. I will write here. Hello, am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what we are talking about, we have completed our topic semaphore, and you should know the definition of semaphore. The basic questions may be asked in GTU. So we are writing that question, definition of semaphore, basic primitives of semaphore, in which you have to discuss about a strong and weak semaphore. And third one, procedure different types of procedures called by or in which you have to discuss init procedure, seam weight procedure, seam signal procedure. And you should know binary semaphore as well as. So we have done a semaphore, right? And this is one kind of approach, software approach related to operating system, how to handle concurrency control, right? So main topic you should remember in the software approach, we have three different techniques to handling concurrency control. First one was semaphore. Second one is monitor. And third one was message passing. And all these software approach are handling implement mutual exclusion, right? So the main concept is we want to implement mutual exclusion. So there are three different approach related to operating system: semaphore, monitor, and message passing. So we have done semaphore, and you get to know how we are using semaphore to implement mutual exclusion. All right, so let's move ahead. Now there are some philosophy problems. Let's understand. First, we will look at a syllabus. Is there a philosophy problem or not? This is our syllabus. We are running concurrency control and deadlock. In concurrency, we have done mutual exclusion and synchronization. Mutual exclusion, we are dealing with the software approach. In the software approach, we should know the principle of concurrency. We have discussed principle of concurrency. We have discussed mutual exclusion. Hardware supports semaphore we have already discussed. Monitor and message passing is another approach we will discuss in the next session. Yes, there is a philosophy problem, dining philosopher problem, reader writer problem. So reader and writer problem. We have to discuss one philosopher problem, right? Reader and writer. Okay. So producer and consumer. This is not a part of syllabus, so we can skip this. Before starting the monitor, we have to understand reader and writer problems. Let's check reader and writer problems. Yes, we have mentioned in our material. So let's understand the basic things, then we will clear in the next session what exactly readers and writer problems is. A data area is shared among many processes. Reader writer problem tells us there is a data area which are shared between two processes, right? Minimum we have two processes and there is a area which are shared between processes. So minimum we have two processes and maximum we can have number of processes. But remember the data area will be shared. It should be a 1. Now some processes only read the data area, some only write to the area. Right? You can understand in this way. Let's design. So the topic which we are dealing in this session is reader writer problem. In reader writer problem, there is a shared data structure. You can say it is a shared area and there are two processes. Process 1, you can say it is a read process and there is another process writer, which can be considered as a process 2, which is used for writing in the shared area. So you can say it is a writing process. So in reader and writer problem, there is a two process or more than two process and some shared area is there. The reading process can be read so process 1 can read in that particular area if there is a content is to be read. Let's suppose it is a PDF file which are open in the shared area, then number of process can be read simultaneously, there is no problem. But the process 2 is belonging to the writing process and if process 2 enter into the critical section and manipulating its data structure or writing into some file, then we cannot allow more than one process to enter into the critical section for writing purpose. So second process we should not allowed. So for writing purpose we should have a single process that is to be allowed to enter into the critical section. But for a reading purpose we can allow number of processes that can be used to the that can access the shared area simultaneously. So this kind of problems which are dealing with. So we will discuss in the next session what exactly reader and writer problem is. what is the problem statement and how we resolve that kind of problems. How we can allow multiple readers that access the shared area, and how we cannot allow writing process to enter multiple process into the critical section. So this is the theme of reader writer problem. It is one kind of philosopher problem which having shared area and having number of processes, and we have to access that shared area among the processes. So how it is to be implemented, we will discuss in the next session.